Welcome, everybody. Welcome to, where are we? Welcome to our Canvas series that we've been launching this year. We're happy to have you here, whether live or on video. I am Carrie Coonard and joined by Chris Giles and Nicole Carter, and we have a special guest here. Alana will be sharing with us as well. Today's episode is to be talking about SpeedGrader. SpeedGrader 101. So that is our game plan, and that is linked all the way down there on slide 22 if you are in our slide deck, which was linked right there on that front screen. So hopefully you hop to that slide deck, and we're going to be doing how to use SpeedGrader 101. And the format of this session will be, we will share information up front, and then after that we will do a Q&A time that is exclusive to SpeedGrader. So we'll start with just SpeedGrader questions. And then once those are exhausted, we will turn off the video, and then we're happy to answer any other Canvas related questions while we are here in this session. So we are excited that you are here today, and I'm excited to get started. So Chris, take it away.
Awesome. Hey friends, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate you coming in and taking some time away from your own busy day and joining us today. We are talking about SpeedGrader today, and I'm going to introduce Alana in just a moment, and she'll introduce herself and where she teaches and what she does. She's pretty awesome, so don't let her shyness fool you. But we are talking about SpeedGrader, and if you've not used SpeedGrader before, it's probably one of the most potentially underutilized tools that Canvas has as one of its features. Although it's pretty much, if you're using assignments in Canvas, SpeedGrader kind of makes sense to be using as well. So it's really two tools that are really well featured together. And so I'm going to just briefly show you just really quickly, how do I get to SpeedGrader? And so SpeedGrader directly from your gradebook, which in my case, I am in my gradebook. You can click on any course or any assignment you want and click the three dots and go right to SpeedGrader. You can also just be in the actual assignment itself and click on SpeedGrader. But once you do open that up, this is what SpeedGrader looks like. These are examples of students, well, they're actually teachers who've submitted live video projects that I can actually watch in SpeedGrader, which is the beauty of that. And then I can go ahead and make comments. I can decide if it's a complete or incomplete assignment. I can go ahead and do my normal comments. I can go ahead and do my recorded comments if I want to. It won't let me record it apparently because I'm in Zoom, which is strange. Or I can go ahead and just do normal voice to text if I want to. The other thing too that I love about SpeedGrader is in the top left-hand corner, the little gear is there. I can go ahead and choose options, and this will allow me to change how I sort my assignments in SpeedGrader, including hiding students' names, which is a great feature. And the other feature that I love doing is clicking on the little eyeball on the left-hand side that will simply say, I'd like to hide all the grades before I release them. And the reason why is because sometimes when you're grading an assignment that might take you a little bit of time, you don't want your students getting back to you before you've submitted all of the grades. So you can hide all the scores and then release them at the same time. So anyway, SpeedGrader is pretty fantastic. That's one reason why we brought Alana on here, to show what she can do, what she does in her class. So I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to stop sharing. And Alana, I'm going to have you go ahead and introduce yourself.
The place I enter SpeedGrader from most often is from my to-do list over on the side. So I'm in my sandbox course, and you can see I have an assignment right here that says, oh, you have to grade this, and it has the little number. If I click that, it'll take me straight into my SpeedGrader as well. And then one other thing I wanted to show is if you have a discussion, your discussion page looks like this. You can see these are all of my groups in my class. SpeedGrader's in the three dots. If you have a discussion, it looks a little bit different from a traditional assignment, but you can still get to it from the discussion page. And then discussions also look a little different in here. So this is, you can see I've got my students anonymous. So this is student 2, and this is everything this student contributed. So their original reply, and if I scroll down, their responses to other people as well, all on one sheet. So if you want to see the back and forth discussion of a student, this isn't the best view for discussions. But if you just want to see everything one student did, then SpeedGrader is the right place for you. Okay, so looking at actual assignments, I'm just going to start with this top bar here and kind of talk about what you can get to. So this is the gradebook. Chris talked about hiding grades. Options, this is where you can hide your student names. And then I also, once I go through my initial grade, I like to sort it by submission status. And that floats all the kids who haven't done it to one place, all the kids you haven't graded yet to one place. And so you can also do it by date. So sometimes if I have students who are all trying to choose their topics and I just have them put in their proposal and I tell them first come, first serve, so I can sort by submission time. And then if the first kid picks a topic and kid number 17 wants the same topic, I can say, I'm sorry, kid number 1 got there first and you're number 17, please pick something different. So you have that ability to sort in there as well. And then there's also keyboard shortcuts, which I recently learned. So we'll talk a little bit, especially about rubrics, and you can just push R to use the rubric. It's not a huge time saver, as you can also just click view rubric, which will pull up your rubric for you. But they do have keyboard shortcuts on here if you want them. They're in that little settings menu as well. Then here's the name of the assignment. If you click there, it'll take you back to the assignment page. So if you get to SpeedGrader, realize you didn't add a rubric to the assignment yet and you want to use one, you can go straight to the assignment page from here and add that rubric and then come back. Over here, you can see how much you've graded, how many students there are theoretically, and then the student names. And here's another place you can sort. This is my sandbox course, and all of the students in here are my coworkers. One of them is one of my 8-year-old twins who volunteered to demonstrate some things for me. And so here you can sort by the section. So I do that sometimes, particularly when I'm going back and entering things from here into Synergy. I'll sort by section so that I can see my students in the order that they appear on Synergy instead of all 82 of my seniors at once. So then the toolbar, the dark gray here, you can always download a student's assessment. There's 2 buttons. This left-hand download is going to download the assignment with all of your annotations. Over on the right, you can see this is the actual file they turned in. This download is the original file. So when you're in this grading window, that download is whatever you've shown in the window. So then up here, you have some navigation. This is, again, my coworker. I made an assignment and I said, will you just upload anything to it? And so this is her file. You can see it's 5 pages and I can click through them. I could rotate it. I can zoom in and out. I can make it full screen. And then over here is where we get to the actual tools. So what I've done is I've just kind of done one of each in here so you can see. The little, I call it the hot air balloon. I don't know, it looks like or like a location marker, I guess is really what it's supposed to be, but it looks like a hot air balloon. If you click on that, you can pick a particular point on the paper and it'll tag a comment to that specific place. And then I've kind of listed that here. You can tag it. You can also, moving to the right, highlight. And any of these actions you do up here, you then can, if you choose to, add a comment. So for the point comment, it's going to expect a comment to populate. For any of the other options, highlight, a text box, strike through, you have the option. So you can highlight, and you can see up here, I have all these different colors that I can choose from my highlighter. So I've got some green highlighting. I can type a comment about why I highlighted that. I can cross something out and give a comment for why I did that. That's the strike through tool. I can, if we're going left to right, I can do a text box where I just type something on here. And again, I have all these color choices for my font that I want to use there. I can freehand draw, that's the little paintbrush. So I just do a little circle here. Again, I have my color options. And again, you can see it's tagged to, this is the tool I used. And I can write a comment there. You can change, for this, you also get to change how thick the line is that you draw. And then you can draw a box around something. So there's lots of different ways that you can take a look at this. And I just wanted to show really quickly, I, as an English teacher, frequently type my comments, or in a minute, I'll show you, I do a lot of media comments. But my husband, as a math teacher, does a lot of, we'll see if my iPad's going to do it today. He does a lot of grading directly on his iPad. And so it looks a little bit different in an iPad. So here you can see, maybe, there it goes. I still have the same tools on the iPad, but this is my coworker, Miranda's work that she submitted to the same assignment, but it just looks a little different. You still have the same tools. You still have the little point, highlight, text box, strike through, draw box around things, freehand draw, but you cannot make students anonymous on the iPad version. You can only do that on the desktop version, which is why we're looking at a coworker's work instead of my student work right now. But you can see on the right, I still have the rubric option as well on the iPad. So I can see the rubric, I can see my criteria. If I push the little plus sign, it'll ask me to give it a number grade. That criterion is out of 8 because in IB we do the 1 to 8 instead of 1 to 4. I can also add a freehand comment here where I can just type into it. And then I can see the longer description if I want to remember what that criterion is all about. So I just thought I would give you a quick preview. You can do all the same, well, a lot of the similar stuff on the iPads. I use a lot of that. I like to tag comments or highlight things. I don't tend to strike through. I tend to more ask questions and say, like, is this really serving the purpose of your thesis? And kind of lead students to hopefully come to some conclusions. But I do like the fact that I can highlight and tag comments directly on there. What I spend more of my time on, though, is this far right panel. So at the top, I can see this person actually submitted a couple different things for me. And it's tagged with the time they submitted them. So I can look at older versions they turned in, or this is the most recent version. And then if I click View Rubric, I wanted to show the options you choose change what you're going to see in SpeedGrader. So I don't want to get too much into rubrics, but I just want to look at these little check boxes down here. This is what the rubric page looks like when you add a rubric. And so if you choose this first checkbox, freeform comments, notice all the numbers and levels went away. And so you're going to get a box to type in Canvas instead, which is what you'll see here. So I can scroll this to the left, and there I have my box to type in my notes instead of levels on the rubric. And then I still have over on the right where I give the score out of 8. If I pick the next box, remove points, you'll see I still have the descriptions of my levels, but there's no numbers attached to them anymore. And you're going to see the same thing when you go back to SpeedGrader. You'll see the rubric with the descriptions of the levels, but no numbers. Okay. Notice that some of the choices went away because I can't use this to grade the assignment, to give the official grade for the assignment because I don't have any numbers attached to it anymore. I can pick use this rubric for assignment grading. Notice that I lose the bottom option there, which says to hide the total score, because if you're using this for grading, they're going to see their total score.
Audio a little bit here. So she is basically explaining that when you use this last checkbox, what it will do is take the total points off. Canvas will automatically add your points from each criterion and give you an overall total point score, which is not necessarily what we use in proficiency grading. She is at ISB, and so they use an 8-point scale. So normally ours would be a 4-point scale, but in this instance, if it was a 4-point scale, you might have a rubric that gives a total points of 16 out of 16 when you really want it to be a 4 out of 4. If that makes sense. So checking that off will remove that automatic tally of a score, and then you can go back in and give them a score point yourself.
Okay, I think that's so. Then in my rubric, I have this look, and then I have, if I chose points, you're going to see it look like this. And so rather than having the free-form comments, you can just click on the levels. It's very important when you do that you push save. Otherwise, you're going to have to do it all again. And the other thing about the free form comments that's interesting is if I type something in here, like work on having solid assertions to begin your paragraphs, which is a comment I say a lot, I can save this comment for later. And then the next time I type in this criterion, it'll give me the option to fill that comment in. But again, I have to push save in order for that to be saved. And now I have that comment in there in my bank. So this is a lot of information, but there's one more area of comments that you have access to, which is this down here. This blue box is a media comment. I'm going to turn off my video real quick, my personal camera, and see if this will work. So you can attach a document you have here, and that's the little paperclip that we're used to seeing for attachments. On the far right, you can do speech recognition. That's like talk to text. And in the middle, you can add a media comment. And this is what I use SpeedGrader for the most. I was doing this on my own. There I am. I was doing this on my own with QuickTime or other programs, and recording them and then individually emailing audio recordings to my students. And then when we got Canvas, I could do it straight here, and they could submit their work through Canvas, and I could record from it and send it straight back to them. Because I talk really fast, faster than I type, and definitely faster than I write by hand. So I could give my students a lot more detailed information in a much shorter amount of time if I gave them audio feedback. So you can do audio feedback, or you can turn off your webcam. I can pick no video, and then just do audio feedback. If you have multiple microphones, it'll ask you which microphone. I do have some external ones that I use for recording. And then when you start recording, and it's going to give me a countdown, and it'll record whatever I say during that time. You can start over if you feel like you did not do your best work, or if, like me, and finish. And if you like the comment, then you can save it. Or again, you can still, even after you finish, start over if something went wrong. I will say this, sometimes Canvas gets tired of recording media and it needs a little break. So sometimes I do still record using QuickTime on my computer, but then I don't have to individually email any student. I can just select a file from my computer and upload it, and it's all within Canvas. And I really like the idea of everything, all the communication being within Canvas. My students don't have to know a bunch of different systems to get information. I don't have to know a bunch of different systems to disseminate the information. It's all done right here, which brings me to kind of my final thoughts about this. And once you save it, by the way, the media comment shows up like this. It looks like a little blue box with a play button on it. The last thing is, as I mentioned, I had my son sign up for my class and submit an assignment because the test student doesn't have any work, so it's hard to look at it. So this is what students see when they go to the grades page in Canvas. They see a list of all the assignments, and they can see if it's been graded. There's a little check mark. If it hasn't been graded, it looks like a little piece of paper saying you turned something in, but hasn't been looked at yet. And so they'll want to click on that, and then it takes them to this view. And I can't tell you how many students have said, Mrs. Bertram, you didn't give me any feedback on that. And I say, yes, I did. When you do an audio comment, or you type a comment on the right-hand side, so this part over here, or type comments in this field, then students see it here on the side, and they can comment back. But if you have scribbled on their work, like I did here, they will not see it there. They have to push this magic little view feedback button, which is really easy for them to miss. So I did not know about this until this year, that students didn't just get a like pop-up of the feedback on it. They have to push the view feedback button, and then they'll be able to see everything that you wrote here if you scribble directly into their assignment. So that's just a little FYI, that's what you're going to find. And that was a lot of information very fast, but that's kind of the overview of most of what I do in SpeedGrader.
Permanent Clipboard, the extension. And so I want to quickly do that just so that I can get it into the recording. So I know that Alana briefly talked a little bit about and I'm going to share my screen real quick, how you get the shortcuts here. And it briefly reminded me that there are some shortcuts that you can do. I know previously I used to keep like a Google Doc or a spreadsheet of my very like basic comments that I found that I would just say over and over and over again to students that I would then copy and paste over. And permanent clipboard extension, I can go ahead, we can drop that in the chat for you guys, but it's just an extension. It lives up here for me, near your Omni box. And basically all it is a place for you to put things that you often copy and paste. So if I jump into an example here, so this is permanent clipboard. Our emails are so long. So like I put that in there. And so once I add that in, all I have to do is click this. And now I can copy and paste it into wherever I need my email to be. So there's things in here like all of my teammates' emails are in here because I have to type their emails all the time, like making them alternative hosts in Zoom, right? So I have a whole bunch of stuff like that in here. But additionally, you can also add in things like comments that you use over and over and over again. And you can either do that as a list like you see here, or you can also create a whole folder. So if you have specific comments for narrative essays or whatever, you can create a folder for narrative feedback or whatever. So yeah, basically all you have to do is click this open and then paste it here. And then, you can just do that really quickly. So I'm kind of more like Alana. I think that I give more feedback when I record my voice, or I do speech to text on my iPad to do feedback comments like this. But I think sometimes also you do have those repetitive pieces. So using something like that extension, or there's nothing wrong with using a Google Doc or a spreadsheet either. Those would also work. So just another thing to kind of help with efficiency, because I think that's, like Alana said, SpeedGrader is one of those main things where it's like, how did I live without this in my life? And so then there's even more things that you can do to make your grading life easier on yourself. So yeah. That's it.
Yeah, I thank you, Nicole, for doing it. I totally forgot about the permanent clipboard. And I use those clipboard actions for my email or some of those things for sure. But I definitely somebody who uses a Google spreadsheet that says, here are the comments that I made for this assignment. And when I try to grade assignments, I try to come up with like an intro comment and an outro comment that I use on every student. And then the meat in the middle is kind of like responsive to what they did in that moment. And that saves a little bit of time for me, because then it is personal feedback, but then I always have to sit here and think, what is it I really want today? So,
and there definitely are other extensions that are similar to permanent clipboard. There's some that use keyboard shortcuts, but I have just found that especially when you have a lot of those constant things that you're copying and pasting and putting in, that it's really hard for me to remember those. I mean, I remember the ones I use all the time, those keyboard shortcuts, but intricate ones are harder for me. So that permanent clipboard just allows me to visually see keywords instead of having to remember, really elaborate keystrokes. Yeah. Because I just don't have space in my brain for that. So
yeah.